I've been gaming since I was yay high, and for years I've tried to get my wife into the hobby with mixed results. Then one day I just sat her down, put my headphones on her, and had her try Fortnite, and what do you know, she really took to the whole keyboard and mouse thing.
Alright! Yeah, bitch, that!
We even won 3 matches back to back. Video to that day on my page, but playing like this required me to play on my PS5 while she played on my PC. Eventually I decided enough was enough, and it was time I surprised her with her own gaming PC build so she could finally cross over to the dark side. For this, the rules were simple. Target a high refresh 1080p build, keep it compact, and also upgrade her work from home setup so she could have the best of both worlds and easily switch between the two. And oh yeah, make it cute. I immediately decided a pink case would be so pretty and colorful. She's just a girl. And thought the Thermaltake Tower 200 pink case would be perfect for her build. The case is cute and compact, like a cotton candy colored vending machine, can support pretty much any hardware on the market, and also demands a relatively small footprint on the desk. As far as the case goes, taking it apart was easy and required no tools. The top just pops off with a little pressure and has a removable mesh cover. From there, each of the side panels comes off just as easy, revealing the inside of the case. The front glass panel clicks in and out of place, and the back cover is removed the same way and has an included fan for exhaust that works together with the hidden fan on top of the case with a removable mesh on the bottom of the case. The inside of the case is designed to house a mini ITX board rotated at 90 degrees. You can even see the small grommets to pass wiring through, but there are some micro ATX boards that can fit depending on the model, which is what we're going to try today. For her build, we're going to repurpose a Asus TUF B650M motherboard for my current build, along with an Intel i7 13700K CPU, which is extreme overkill for her needs, but at least guarantees great performance. For RAM, we're going with 32 gigabytes of G.Skill Flare S5 DDR5 6000 MHz RAM, which again is overkill for this build, but is what I had on hand. And we'll finish it off with 1 terabyte of Samsung 980 Pro NVMe storage, and considering she doesn't play Call of Duty yet, this should be more than enough for her uses. Fitting the micro ATX board into this case was more than doable, but requires some planning on the wiring end just to make sure everything lines up nicely. Since the motherboard is rotated 90 degrees, most connections actually run across the left side of the case instead of the bottom like I'm used to, but it's easy enough to get all the connections from the case to the motherboard. There's also built-in channels in the back to help with cable management. The case supports liquid cooling up to a 280 millimeters, so for the cooler we're going with a Thermaltake Ultra Elite 240 millimeter, which is the sister to the Frozen Knot I reviewed on my page. We're going with a white aesthetic with subtle RGB colors, so this cooler should work perfectly. Thermaltake suggests that the cooler is used as an intake, so I had to flip the fans first. After adding thermal paste and installing the pump to the pump bracket, the cooler easily fit into the side panel mounting bracket. This bracket is removable, but I didn't seem necessary for this time. At this point, the color scheme was already looking good with only a few parts left to add, and just like the other side, the wiring came out the side instead of the top of the case since the motherboard is rotated 90 degrees, but we're easily cable managed through the rear loops. The bottom of the case houses the power supply, and keeping the white theme, we're going with a Corsair RM 750 watt that included white cables. All it took was removing the rear bracket, attaching the power supply, and then sliding it right back into place. And although the motherboard covered the original wiring grommets, there were still holes in the bottom to allow for cabling, which should match up well with the white cooler. Speaking of matching well, last but not least, we also had to install the graphics card, and for this we went with the Gigabyte AERO RTX 4060, which should provide her with high frame rates at 1080p resolution and look good while doing it. In this case, the graphics card attached to the top of the case and hangs downward, which is a cool change of pace. The case is designed to fit the largest graphics cards on the market, so spacing was a non-issue. And afterwards, the whole build came together beautifully. And the last step was to re-add the panels, followed by the moment of truth. The color theme of the case came together perfectly, and I immediately knew she would love the aesthetic with the RGB lights. I connected her up to my setup to install Windows and run a few performance tests and was immediately impressed. Playing Fortnite at max settings with DLS quality and no ray tracing, we were seeing between 160 and 170 frames at 1080p, which is way better than what my PS5 was doing. Next, it was time to improve her setup with pink Razer branded accessories for her keyboard, mouse, and headphones. And for work, she uses a 24-inch Samsung, so I upgraded her to a 27-inch curved 240Hz 1080p monitor that should work great for gaming while providing her with more space for work. I even created a desktop background for her, and the his and her setup was looking dope. From there, I bought her cute skins in Fortnite to match the color scheme, and then, last but not least, I also built her a larger desk to help hold the new setup, which helped complete the whole look. All in all, this has been a pretty great experience, man. She's really taken to the PC gaming thing, and we have had tons of fun on Fortnite. She's even taken it to adventure games, and I've even come home from work and caught her playing the game by herself, which is something I never thought I'd see. And she even plays her favorite game of all time, Spending Me Money, SpongeBob. But as usual, if you liked it, you learned something, feel free to subscribe. I think the Thermaltake Tower 200 was the perfect case for this and was easy upgradable for future parts. And of course, stay tuned for future videos.